Also, make sure your phone's silent.
That's good. Thanks. Look at this guy.
Slapping the table for some reason will just reverberate into the microphone. So,
yeah. Wow. All right. Hey, welcome to Gravity Bandit. And I just immediately
literally
just waited 5 seconds and then I hit the table. Welcome to episode 1 of the Gravity Bandit podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, John Honecker.
Chad.
And
Bradley.
Chad. Chad.
We'll go with Chad.
I like that.
When you raise your hand, do they see that?
I mean, I think the cameras can see that.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's how we know to talk on the podcast is raising our hand. And we have a wonderful guest, Matt from COhatch. Do you want to say a little bit about yourself and just how amazing you are?
I thought that's what this whole thing was for.
Just telling you how amazing you are.
So you want it all right now?
This is what we're going to do. We're actually, based on our information and our research, we're going to try to do the Reader's Digest version of what COhatch is, and then you correct us and see how we do.
And for the people listening at home, Reader's Digest is like a paper version of a digital magazine.
And magazines, of course, what you said, are made of paper, which is like an analog form of...
And paper made from trees, and we're not supposed to use paper anymore, right?
No, that's actually pretty bad.
Okay, no more trees. Got it.
So COhatch is a community town hall 2.0 is what it says on your website. So it's not just a co-working space. I feel like that is the thing that you fight against all the time. Mm-hmm. It is more than that. It's life. It is what people do besides work. It's sharing that community together. And not only sharing that community in a working environment, but also reaching out and doing stuff for the community.
Yeah, that was decent.
Decent. I'll give it half a thumbs up.
On a scale of 1 to 5, it was decent.
Yeah, it's about a 1.5, 2. But I mean, you did a nice job reading the front text of the website.
It's trying to culminate, all the things that you're trying to build into 2 sentences.
Yeah,
so
I change how I explain it every day. So
you change how you explain it every day.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So what's today?
Well, today is, I think you're right. Most people call us a co-working space. So I always start with that now. So yeah, we are a co-working space, but the whole goal is to not just, most co-working spaces really focus on thriving at work. You look at WeWork, you look at the other ones, it's always about get the most out of work, get the most out of your abilities, work, network this, network that. Whereas our whole concept is based on enabling the person. People love the whole concept of work-life balance, and I actually hate that. So it's is that about to put money in the business jar?
No, we'll talk about that.
So that was close. But work-life balance, somehow over the last people think that work is equal to everything else that you are, whether it be a husband, have kids, all your side interests, your philanthropy, what you do as a human being. Somehow work is equal to all those things, or actually don't believe that. So what we're trying to do with COhatch is activate people to live all parts of their life, whether it be, spending time with their wife and their family, spending time with their friends, taking care of their health and their wellness. Also, going on vacation and socializing, serving other people, volunteering. And my whole thing, it's really was about how we create it was really, I call it one of the most selfish concepts in the world because it's exactly how I wanted to live, right? So I wanted a really badass place to work. I wanted to be creative. I wanted to be inspired. I didn't want silos. I didn't want corporate America beating me down and different things. I also wanted to have a little fun, drink a beer when I wanted to. I wanted to go on a vacation with my family. That's why we bought a beach house to share it with other people. I wanted to basically try to be fit. I'm not very fit. I need to work on that one.
Fit-ish.
Fit-ish.
And then it's really cool because I get to volunteer and help other people through COhatch and help communities as part of our mission. So I think that's how people are wired and that's how people want to live. They just get caught up in this daily work grind and don't get to fulfill those other pieces of it. So we really spend as much time on the other pieces as we do the work piece.
That is amazing. I love that concept. Now, the ultimate goal, like a utopia version of this, is no one would ever have to leave a COhatch location. They just do their entire life. They wouldn't have a home. I'm kidding.
Yeah, not quite.
That sounds a little too prison.
It's commune.
Doing your time.
I feel like that same inspiration happened with our friends all the time. At least this conversation comes up with my wife where she's like, I don't want to cook. I don't want to clean, but I want to do all these other things. And someone's like, I would love to clean. And so that's where the idea of a commune gets together. And I can just see us all of a sudden start all wearing the same clothes. All of a
Yeah, it
sudden.
sounds a
I was
little
like,
cultish.
Yeah.
The way you say it. It
Yeah.
sounds better when he says it.
way better.
Yeah.
Maybe let him say it.
And, if your wife has to give birth, I prefer they not do it in a COhatch. Like they could go to a hospital or something like that too. But there's a few things I don't want you to be doing inside of our
No
spaces.
medical professionals.
Hey, we've been
have
asked to do
office
a
space.
shared medical facility, so I don't want to say that completely. I guess I could retract that.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Is there a doctor on site? Oh yeah, there's a whole medical community here. Got it.
Opportunity.
You saw an opportunity of starting COhatch. You said this exists. Maybe you saw another business do it, or you knew the right people. Tell us a little bit about how you saw an opportunity and you were like, got it.
Yeah, I didn't actually see an opportunity. I didn't actually have a business case, and I didn't actually set out to build 20 locations in 4 regions. So
Yeah, I was going to say, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 live locations, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations coming soon. Your not planning seems to be working well.
yeah, it's
Keep going,
we'll
man.
be announcing Cincinnati next week. That's the exclusive to your podcast. There you go. So it's the region of Cincinnati. Was waiting for this massive audience to get it out there. But
Shots fired?
yeah, that's all right.
Very much so. And we'll take it. Feels good.
But no, the funny part about it is I do have my MBA from Ohio State, and they just beat the piss out of you with the whole, business case this and all that other stuff. And I find it, I go to my background later. But at the end of the day, I wanted to leave corporate America because of a bunch of ethical issues I thought with companies and create something on my own. And at the time, I needed a place to go work. I actually had this concept called whiteboard, very original, right? My dream was like literally to show up in a office space with nothing in it but a whiteboard, and that was day one, right? To figure my way through being an entrepreneur, what I wanted to do. And then I also had this other concept called grid, which was an all philanthropic. Whole concept was about optimizing nonprofits in Columbus, where, and the reality is there's so much money spent on nonprofits throughout Columbus that's really more money than is needed. It's just 2% efficient, right? So you really only need 5 food pantries strategically located doing well, not 17, if done well, right? So the whole thing is building a grid and organizing and mobilize people physically. So that was this concept that I came up with a long time ago. And at the time, we were doing Mesh Fitness in Bridge Park, and my partner was one of the best brand designers in the country. We met through our church group and everything. So we designed Mesh Fitness, and one day I was walking through the attic of this hardware store looking at real estate for something else we were doing, and I came across this abandoned space. It was 110 years old. It was a second story of Worthington hardware store. They told me it wasn't rentable. I started asking questions about it, and it was actually the theater in the back was the old town hall theater, which in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, they would do shows and plays, and that's why their ceilings were 14 feet tall, which is very rare for an old building, right? And I fell in love with the space, and literally as I was standing in that space, my partner called me about Mesh Fitness, and he started bitching. And if you know Joel, he doesn't really ever bitch, but it's his version of bitching.
Right.
He was tired of, like, him and his wife are the design team. They do Gatorade. They do all kinds of big clients. He's like, well, man, we got kicked out of the library today. I couldn't work here. I couldn't work there. Right. And I'm just tired of living in my living room. We have a young baby and yada, yada. I said, well, I'm standing in a space. How about you design it? I'll build it and you get free rent forever. That's how COhatch started.
Free rent forever. So get on the ground floor of somebody willing to pull the trigger on
He got
something.
he got slightly more equity than free rent forever.
That's a hard sell.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah, then it just kind of kept growing. I'm like, well, this is perfect. Like, I can't afford all this space by myself. I don't need all this space for 3 people. So I'm like, well, what if I got my other partner, Ryan, involved? What if we get like 4 other people to do it with it? And we started talking to people, and we started filling it up pretty quick because of the location and the design aesthetic of what we were going to build. And then all of a sudden, these aha moments hit you when I was driving to the Outer Banks with my kids, and I don't know why I was silent for 30 minutes. He must have been sleeping. And I'm thinking, well, how do I...
Accurate?
I mean, yeah, it's
Accurate.
it was... I just distinctly remember driving there and thinking, well, how do I make this into a social enterprise? How do I help people? Besides restoring buildings that haven't been used in a while,
Right.
how do I get this town hall concept back? Because it was a town hall, community hall. How do I get this concept back to the center of town? Why are people not going there anymore, right? So I'm like, well, what if we use our spaces for other reasons. Like our members could use it at nights for their birthday parties or for family reunions or charities or other events. So we started giving, so it hit me, just let people use the space for free as long as they donate to our scholarship funds. And then our scholarship funds originally started where I was giving a couple $100 to different charities, which is useless. But then
Every little bit counts.
yeah, not really. No. But so we decided to give them scholarships to work out of our spaces and to not be in their basement, but to be on the front street, like in High Street, right? So they started doing tons of events and we just got a lot of traffic, and the kind of rest is history. The city, we filled up amazingly, like first couple of weeks, we started doing a ton of traffic, and the city asked us to do the next one down the street, an old library, and they had a business plan for the town, and it was to do a co-working space. And I just chuckled. I'm like, they're like, well, we suck at this, so why don't you do it? I'm like, sure. So they actually, it was right on the corner of 161 in High Street. It's like the Village Green of Worthington, where actually Worthington was founded. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take a shot at it. So we did that one, a really good deal with the city to do that. And we filled that up really quick and then just kept going. So our mission kind of evolved to creating that town hall concept, restoring old buildings, bringing community back together. Then we started being goofy, like adding different amenities and beach houses and stuff to add to that lifestyle.
You basically, the town hall concept is what started it all in an actual
The old town hall.
Right. Which is amazing.
Classic.
Obviously, this is growing. It's going to keep getting bigger and bigger, hopefully, right? Rents repeat. Let's just keep going. You're in new areas. So obviously, you're going to be a big thing in the future. Like there's going to be a movie made about you. Who plays you in the movie?
That's a good question because, I mean, depends on what time period, how many years from now?
We're going to say this is a blockbuster coming 2025.
All right, 6 years.
Who plays me? I think you have to go with like when I was in my early 20s and less fat and wrinkly. I used to be, I was a baby face. I used to be called Leonardo DiCaprio when I was younger. So I'm going to have to go with that one.
You're going to go for that guy.
Leo
But he's
from
going to have to,
Titanic?
he's going to have to, that's when I was young. I mean, younger, but now he's going to have to put on that fake fat suit and kind of some other makeup and
I don't
become
think
a
that's
little
going to be
older.
hard for him right now.
No, I don't know if you've seen him in the latest one. So yeah, that's good. We'll accept that. That's a good answer.
You know.
You made it weird.
You did something differently. And we talked a little bit about this. We talked about you took this town hall concept. It wasn't just working. It wasn't just taking a section of people's lives. It was trying to incorporate everything that encompasses a person's life. And can there be a location for that? When you were going about this, you had this concept based on your own selfish desires. Like this is something that you wanted out of your workspace.
It's how I wanted to live my life. Yeah.
It's how you wanted to live your life. Because I've read a few articles, watched a few videos of you explaining this concept to people, you do have this uphill kind of dialogue with co-working. Like as soon as people are like, oh, you're a co-working space. And you're like, man, I just kind of want to like fight against that a little bit because it's more than that. So is it offensive if I'm like, so you're co-working space? And you're like,
I used to be. I went through a phase where I was one, then I wasn't one. Now I don't mind being one again. And the only reason I don't mind starting the conversation with that, it's like the industry is so popular, it's so big. And people ask me, are you worried about WeWork coming to town? I'm like, no, I love it. They're going to pump $5 million of advertising of co-working space into this town, right? For us, it's like, I just truly believe if you, whatever gets you into our space to understand who we are first, is all I really need, because you can't really truly understand all the stuff you can do until you get into one of our spaces, talk to people, see what you could do. So I don't mind, like if you look at it on Google and search co-working space will pop up, we kind of embrace it. But I think that over time, I think the whole definition of co-working will evolve. Co-working currently only covers pretty much white collar people. And you could see some maker spaces, but they don't really call them co-working spaces. They call them maker spaces, right? So for us is we want to be able to provide a space, a center of gravity for you to do your job, whether you're an accountant, whether you have a side hustle to sell cosmetics, which by the way, the unbelievable amount of people have side hustles to sell cosmetics and like lip glosses and stuff.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
It's crazy.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Or you're like literally you're a maker, you're a welder, you could be a chef in a kitchen, you could be any of those things, because the work element of what you do in the future is going to be you all need the same resources. Whether if you're a baker, you might need a kitchen, but you also need a web designer. You also need a advertising company. You also need a accountant, right? So you all need the fundamental building blocks in today's age to run a business. You might need different physical tools to do it. So eventually we'll evolve to having all of those amenities in one market so that you could use any of them, whether it be a podcast room or we're actually looking at a film production studio concept to do different movie shoots. We're looking at all those different concepts to do. Because I think if you have one package in a market, you could shift people could go to any one of those in one Columbus city. So yeah, I mean, could you apply it to other markets? Yes, everyone. It's just depending on how you integrate it. It's a little bit country club, it's a little bit timeshare, it's a little bit workspace, it's all of that merged into one bucket, right? And I think that the fundamental belief is I hate LinkedIn. I hate I hate everything about it pretty much.
Thank you.
So except the fact that I have to market people to get to come see it, right? So there is a usefulness of it.
What do you hate about LinkedIn?
It's the fakest form of yourself in the world.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
There is no faker version than you.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm actually in the middle of writing a LinkedIn article, and I shared it with a few people.
It's the worst, and I'm part of it. So
No. Sorry, let me hold on. I'm writing a LinkedIn article, and it is real edgy. And I sent it to a few of my friends who are prevalent on LinkedIn, and they're like, "You cannot post this on there. Like, it's way too real. It's way too like."
Is it called you're a bunch of douchebags?
It does have douchey in it. And they said, don't put that in there because you can't have the word douchey on a platform like LinkedIn. And I'm asking,
this isn't a kids
why
podcast,
not?
is it? Sorry.
No.
Okay,
I mean,
great. Well, I mean, seriously, like there's only one reason for you to be on it is to sell yourself. There's only one possible reason is for you to grow your business or sell yourself or to get a new job or to network with people. That is the only physical reason is to design.
Right.
Now, you could try to say, okay, nonprofits are on there to get awareness, but it's selling themselves to get awareness, right? So it's just a sea of like,
that whole movement of this is the real me, no makeup. This is me without the cute camera angles. That's like really prevalent on Instagram and Facebook. That doesn't exist on LinkedIn.
But I think there is a very useful purpose for it, and it's fine. But I think that's part of what COhatch is there to do is to balance that out. So we actually have this will be the most hypocritical statement in the world. Ready? We have a 250 person LinkedIn local event in COhatch UA tonight. Right? So it's at 5:00, right? So but the point
was
is,
this a plug? Was this an elaborate
yeah, it was. I just really roped you in.
Good news is this isn't live.
Yeah, so it's not going to matter.
So call in now. You can reach us at www.
But when people realize, like, I cannot tell you how many times a week I am solicited from our business on LinkedIn, right? It's just constant. Like, do you need Time Warner cable or do you need an internet connection? Do you need this or blah, 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 right? And they start, oh, it's so nice to be LinkedIn connected to you. I'm like, you don't know me from crap, right? So, but then you just gain access to the head of I'm the head of the company, right? Like somehow you feel like, then they get mad at you. Have you not seen my email? I'm like, yeah, I have. I just don't want to reply to it, right?
We live in the ghosting community. Like, can it just be established? You can send an email and maybe two. And if it doesn't have like the read receipt on it, I mean, we live in the Snapchat reality that like you've been ghosted. Like there's no response. It's
own it.
What is it?
On.
It's called what?
I'm going to go to the different reality. I'm going to go to the blunt truth reality. Like
you're just going to go for it?
Yeah, and be like, dude, what made you think you had the right to contact me?
It's just a copy paste.
No. Like okay. I mean, so like, but it's okay. Like, so you have to realize what it is. And then to me, COhatch's ability of like, you cannot sell me on just a unsolicited phone call. Okay. So now I have all kinds of people I do business with, but the reality is they work in a COhatch or whatever. I meet them. I get to know you, right? When I need an accountant, oh, there's one right there. I meet them, right? The physical old school piece of relationships is how business gets done. That will always be how it gets done. Now, the key is, can you still meet people and network digitally, but have that center? I just view COhatch as a centers of gravity for people to know that they could do different business in. And that's around Columbus, that's around different regions. And it's also a center of gravity for people to know that, hey, there's 20 nonprofits there. If I'm going to volunteer one, I might as well know the people that runs one. I could go help get them involved. Oh, I'm a startup. Oh, by the way, there's a whole investor network in there. if I go to COhatch and here and I start working my way around, I'm going to meet investors who want to invest in businesses. I don't have to go jump around all these different pitch events. I'm going to build accredited investors inside of our community. If you know all that happens there, that's great. And I can tell you right now, if you ever bring I have 3 kids. If you bring your kids to a COhatch and they're playing games with my kids, the chances of us getting to know each other just went up about, it's the old baby in a park rule, right? So bring your kids, hang out, get to know people, and you build relationships and trust, and that's how you do business.
I really want the young entrepreneur right now just being like, all right, I got to get a kid.
Yeah, take it around town.
I got to meet him.
Legally, please. Legally.
That's one of our startups, is borrow a kid.
Steal attention.
You're solicited for business constantly. People are like, Matt, you're oh my gosh, come be on our podcast.
Yeah.
And he said yes. So
That's on him.
that's totally his fault. What are you looking for somebody to get your attention? This whole thing, Gravity Bandit, is about stealing attention. How do you make it weird? How do you get in front of people as someone who is the guy in charge, the CEO, the owner of this company, co-creator, all these things? Hooking up with you on LinkedIn is like, oh man, I got some clout now. But how do you really get your attention? What are you looking for?
I think it all starts with a need. You're not going to get my attention if I didn't have a need to begin with, right? So you could go streak COhatch in the middle of the thing and get as much attention you want and sell me some, 8-track tapes. I don't need it, so you ain't going to get my attention, right? But I think it all starts with a need. And I think at that point, like anything, I'm more of a relationship guy. So like I automatically search the people relationships. And then if you do have that relationship with me, I think I really respect creativity and wit and thinking differently about different things. So I get a whole lot of people that pitch me on COhatch, you should do a video on this. But it's like people don't really think. I think thinking is the most underused skill in the world. and I think mostly because I think people aren't good at it or aren't very smart most of the time. So I think that I love excellence. I love the top 10 to 15% of people who are just brilliant at what they do. The top 3% actually are brilliant at what they do. I really respect excellence at thinking, creativity. When I created COhatch, the way it grew is like one of my favorite sayings is generosity grows and greed kills. You can only optimize one thing. I'm an engineer actually, right?
Okay.
So you can only optimize one thing like in a mathematical equation or whatever, right? So for me, a lot of startups and entrepreneurs try to optimize it for, I'm going to retain all ownership. I'm going to retain this, and it's just going to be me, and it stifles growth a little bit. And I try to optimize COhatch for the mission of what we do in existence, right? So that makes me make different decisions on how I fundraise, what partners I bring on, who I surround myself with. So I was much more liberal with giving up some equity with my partners who did branding and then construction, other stuff, because it built this awesome team of A+ people who do awesome things together. And I tell people to always partner with people that amaze you. And the people that amaze you, if you're a brand designer and you have another buddy who's a brand designer, you're probably not gonna be amazed by the other person because it's like you do the same thing, right? But he looks at me and I'm like, he's amazed that I could do the business side and funding and ideas and this stuff. And I look at him like, dude, I have no idea what you're doing, but it's awesome. Like, send it to me, right? It's like align yourself with complementary skills of people that just truly amaze you, and then optimize your system for truly what is your mission of what you're doing. My mission is not to die a billionaire. I do not care about that. If I could die with actually having thousands of locations, thousands of communities impacted, thousands of buildings restored in towns, people living a different way, then that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out how to do.
That's huge. You said you had a beach house that's accessible to your members. How many, since we do not rent space with COhatch,
Sure.
How many timeshare presentations do we have to listen to in order to get access or just look inside, be a beach house adjacent?
I don't have time to sit with you.
Straight to the point.
Yeah.
And there you have it.
What's valuable?
What to you as an entrepreneur that has experienced success, what's the most important thing to you right now?
I vowed never to run a big company again. I ran a couple $100 million business unit for a Fortune 200 company, and as we scale, like my goal was not to travel around the country, manage huge teams and grow a big company. So I made a decision to bring on some partners that will develop other regions for us. And they're doing some of the other cities, but they're going to be located in Columbus and still developing. So as a business decision for lifestyle, it's a good business decision too, don't get me wrong. But my biggest thing that keeps me up now is how can I make sure that COhatch doesn't become stays true to the mission of what they're doing. The culture is scalable throughout different regions, and because I could control Columbus, I'm here. So that's the thing that I try to monitor the most. And the way I did it was, instead of trying to get a bunch of different developers to do it, we have one large group that's doing it. And I made sure that they have the people who run it are the same values that I have, the same mission of what I have, the same goals of what I have. A really cool side story is one of our first investors, Chris and Tammy Watkins. They are from Upper Arlington. They actually put together a fund to help invest in us, but they committed to every dollar they make in it to give it away, right? So it's people who really understand the value of trying to make an impact. And that's kind of people we try to surround ourselves with. It's kind of a different series or topic on who do you take capital from and who you don't. And actually speak coming up next month on how do you raise capital strategically from good people that won't corrupt your soul is kind of like the title of my...
We'll attend that and also put our mics up and be like, you heard it here first. Yeah. No, that's really good. So the most important thing to you right now is surrounding yourself with not only like-minded people, but ethical.
I already have those people, so it's more about ensuring the culture remain. It's very easy to be tempted by greed and money, right? No matter how good a people are and who you employ, what you do, and who you work with. It's like making sure that we always stay mission focused, helping people focused. Because the sexy part is, real estate this and buying this and putting this in, and that's the sexy part.
Wow,
right?
you own so much land. Look at you.
It's not so sexy to be like, I just spent 7 hours 2 weeks ago doing a mobilized Dublin to raise $6,000 of school supplies for schools. It was hard work, right?
Right.
So it's like, but that's how I think makes us different. When people walk in and they see it, they think it's authentic. They really think that we care about helping communities and people. It's just not, hey, how do I do rent arbitrage and charge you twice as much for a building I just created and just give you other services and then go to IPO and make $46 billion. All
right.
That's actually
So we'll start another company that is doesn't have his ethics, and then we'll go.
So you're
do that.
saying there's a way to make $46 million? All right.
Yeah. Let me hold on. I just need to real quick.
But I think that is like the secret sauce of COhatch is like, it's the uniqueness of all the concepts put together. But I think the soul and authenticity and the values of what we have is hard to replicate. You can't fake caring about people.
No.
So it comes across quickly. And that's why people, when they walk in, they'll go to a WeWork, they'll go to a Serendipity Labs, they'll walk into us. And then, not to mention our business model is radically different. I want 20 locations in Columbus that are 7,000 to 11,000 square feet, not 300,000 square feet in one spot.
Right.
Flexibility, more communities, more value, more unique perks. We're probably going to run one campaign. One idea is that we're having, besides co-hatching, is it's like you get this awesome workspace and your family gets this. Beach house, social club, all this different stuff to do, bounce houses for your kids. It's like, because that kind of shows you, like, you could work, but you could also bring your family into it with all these perks. It's one membership for the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of getting that across.
Entrepreneurs Anonymous.
You're an entrepreneur. You've experienced success. There are some people that want to be entrepreneurs. They're still in a 9-to-5 job, or someone has actually taken that plunge and is starting their own thing. What would you tell 20-year-old you?
Yeah.
Or what would you tell somebody, so pick one of these, that is in a 9-to-5, and you'd be like, you need to make sure you know this before you make that plunge. Like, make them feel better about, like, no, maybe a 9-to-5 job is like good for me.
My top tips, number one tip I give when I speak to entrepreneurs is, it took me a while to learn this. It's the get your mind right. And it took me a long time to get your mind right on going out on my own. And the kind of the parallel I give people is that, the best way I could describe it is, where I loved playing The Legend of Zelda when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the gold cassette, Nintendo, boom, push it down. I can still feel it going in. There's just the whole thing about it, right? But the cool thing about that game is, like, that when you were done, no one asked you how many lives did it take you. No one knows. Like, I died a crap load, right? Yeah, so it's like when you're playing Legend of Zelda and you're not, I just imagine you're being an entrepreneur. In Legend of Zelda, you're taking different paths. You're taking different different avenues. You're getting trapped. You're getting stuck. You're buying tools along the way. You're buying different resources. You're grouping up. You're adding other people to play with you. Sometimes you're resetting and starting over again, right? So I tell people, when you're an entrepreneur, think of it that way. Success and failure is not if you die or not, or your company dies or not. It's actually the process of going through it, realizing that it is an adventure, and then half the battle is having fun and playing the game. I don't remember if I solved Zelda, but I don't really remember the part about solving it, right? At the time, that's not what I go to. I go to like my friends and I playing it, having a good time doing it. And then the last piece of it is kind of, I always sticks out, is like in Zelda, you always collected hearts, right? So I always view COhatch as an entrepreneur that as I'm going through creating my business, my goal is to collect hearts along the way. And that is kind of me helping other people or helping things out, helping other societies out. Societies is too big a word, but other people out. Yeah. And I think it's like what you really realize at the end of it, that's probably the whole point of what you're doing to begin with. So this whole notion of I failed at a business and died and I'm a failure is stupid, right? I've evolved our business. I've a bunch of different ways and repackage it. Certain things I failed at, some certain things I haven't. So if you're willing to go on an adventure and really enjoy and embrace, it's not about success or failure in a lot of ways. It's about, do I want to go on this journey? Because I can promise you, you're going to be just as stressed out as you were before. But currently in your desk job, you're like, my boss is an idiot. He's trapping me. I can't get out of here. It's like they're limiting my creativity and they don't understand anything, right? What you didn't worry about is, can I make payroll tomorrow?
Right.
But when you're an entrepreneur, you're not worried about your boss because you are the boss and you can blame yourself. But you are worried about, can I make payroll and can I actually do this? So stress is always there. I probably had just as much more stress now than I did before. But it's also, you have to embrace the fact that you are in control. You can only blame yourself. And I want to see how this plays out. And it's kind of like a storybook that you want to play. So if you're not willing to play the game, don't get in.
Love that. Also, if you want to get on his good side and ours, there's a new Zelda coming out game in November for the Switch. Yeah, it's a remake of the classic.
Nice.
For Switch.
I don't have patience anymore. I don't know how people do it.
Super pumped.
I just can't even imagine sitting down that long.
My Nintendo thumbs are done and over.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Nintendo Switch, it goes with you. It goes with you, man. Like you can just do whatever, wherever. Well, man, I can't thank you enough for being here and sharing a lot of your wisdom and experience. This is the Gravity Bandit podcast, where we ask people that have way more LinkedIn friends than us if they want to be on our podcast. What are your
secrets?
What are your secrets? So thank you so much. Hopefully you had a good time.
Yeah, it's fun. Thank you.
And really appreciate it.
Sounds like the secret sauce is video games.
Secret sauce is video games.
Yes.
You
were definitely not in the top 3% that I was talking about.
That's why I'm the co-host, and I said 4 words. Shots fired.
Awesome.